Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Tuesday, January 27th. Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and Matt Robinson. We haven't seen him in a while, but he'll be back with us today on the show in just a bit as well, ready to break down the Tuesday NHL card. Big card, good card. Looking forward to talking about it here, so we'll get to that in just a moment. First, though, on the heels of a great Patreon exclusive live betcast last night. Appreciate all the Patreon members for joining us last night. And a reminder that we have another Patreon exclusive live betcast coming up later this week. And we will announce it the day of the betcast. Patreon members that were with us last night actually know when it's going to be already. But for those of you that are obviously not Patreon members, we'll make that announcement of when that Patreon live betcast later this week will be on the day of. But we have an announcement regarding our next free-for-all public betcast, and we'll make that announcement right now.
This is breaking news from the Ice Guys.
It will be our only betcast in the month of February because of the Olympic break. There will be no NHL action for the majority of the month of February, but we will have our one and only NHL live betcast, open to everybody, free for all, open to the public, next Tuesday, a week from today. Next Tuesday, February the 3rd, starting at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Make sure you join us for that. Again, very much looking forward to it. Tuesday, February the 3rd. And again, this is probably going to be our only betcast of the month. Free for all, Patreon or otherwise, because of the lack of NHL hockey next month. So there you go. Our next free-for-all live betcast open to everybody next Tuesday, February the 3rd at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. So excited about that. And as always, you just DM or email us or get with us on the Patreon page via DM to receive the link for that betcast, and we will send it to you before it begins. All right, Monday night. It was an up and down night, win some, lose some kind of night is the way I would describe it overall. The game that really was great for me was the Islanders Flyers. I mean, we were all over that. We were all over that last night with the fact that we expected the Islanders to have a good effort. Patrick Waugh getting after his top line for a lack of defensive detail in the loss to Buffalo on Saturday. And boy, did those guys respond. 2-point nights from both Matthew Barzal and Anthony Duclair, both of which were in the crosshairs of Patrick Waugh after that loss to Buffalo, and they both responded the way you hoped they would. And the Islanders with a shutout win over the Philadelphia Flyers, 4-0. Ilya Sorokin rock solid in goal, stopping all 21 shots that he faced. Ersson, not so much. And we did say that it was probably a decent goaltending advantage for the Islanders in that game, and it proved to be that way as the Islanders get a 4-0 shutout win, a nice bounce back. They also caught the Flyers, like we talked about, off the road trip out west that saw them go through Utah, Vegas, Colorado, those three teams. So it was not a great spot for the Flyers either, and the Islanders took advantage of it and got the job done. While that game was great from a betting standpoint, this next game was not. Utah-Tampa Bay was just a complete whiff. You know, we thought Utah would take advantage of a depleted blue line. The magic of John Cooper continues. Obviously, Andrei Vasilevsky was a big part in the win. He was rock solid. But Utah just didn't have the finish last night. And against, like I said, a depleted Tampa Bay blue line. But no problem for the Lightning. They get a 2-0, very impressive 2-0 shutout win over the Utah Mammoth last night, cooling off the Mammoth, who were 8-1-1 in their last 10 games going into that game. But give the Tampa Bay Lightning credit. Just another reason why John Cooper should get Coach of the Year, Jack Adams, consideration this year. You know, whether he wins, it's another story. I know Jonathan Davis has the big ticket on John Cooper to win the Jack Adams Award. My concern with him winning it is the fact that a lot of times they deviate to giving the Coach of the Year, Jack Adams trophy, to the coach that that takes his team from, you know, the biggest improvement, you know, from one year to the next. And so does that leave John Cooper out in the cold when it comes to winning that trophy. That's the concern. But certainly from what he has done this season with a depleted group for much of the year, there's been games, Point's been out for a while, Kucherov's missed games, Hedman's been out for eons, it feels like, multiple defensemen. He deserves consideration. But like I said, Alex, my concern with him winning it is the fact that most of the time they'll give this award to a coach that takes a team from the depths of hell one year to massive improvement the next, and Tampa Bay doesn't exactly fall into that category.
Yeah, we don't get to talk a lot about awards and futures at times, but this is a good point to be looking at what will basically be the three finalists. Like I think we can firmly say Jared Bednar of Colorado, John Cooper of Tampa, and Lindy Ruff of Boston, Buffalo rather. Those three right now look like they're going to be the finalists for that award, and it's a battle between those three. And Cooper, like I said, for as great of a job as he's done, it's hard to ignore Bednar. Best record in hockey. This team went, 3 months without losing a regulation game at home. Or Buffalo, if they finally get into the playoffs after all this time, he was literally the last coach to take them to the playoffs years ago. So, I mean, if I had to bet on either of these three, I would be running toward Bednar or Ruff before Cooper, even though Cooper's done an amazing job. And you wonder, if he doesn't win it this year, when the hell is he going to win it?
Yeah.
But like I said, those are two very tough competitors, but shop around, because like I said, we're seeing where Cooper's number 2 on that line, but there may be some books where you may get some value where maybe Ruff is a little bit ahead, or he's Bednar's somewhere in that plus range. So that's definitely a market worth looking at.
Yeah, without a doubt. Boston Rangers, I said it on this very show yesterday. I was a little leery of Boston in this spot, even though it felt like, geez, we got to bet Boston, right? Rangers are terrible. They're coming off a road trip. They're at home where they're 5-18, 5-19 on the season. Said, you have to bet Boston. And I did bet Boston, but boy, I kept it a smaller bet. And boy, I'm glad I did. As they lose 4-3 to the New York Rangers last night in overtime. They had a 3-2 lead going into the third, but Will Borgen, pair of defensemen, actually get the game-tying and game-winning goals. Will Borgen makes it 3-3. Matthew Robertson, and give John Massey credit. He took a shot with Matthew Robertson, anytime goal prop last night in this game, and it was like 10-1 or something like that, and he wins it in overtime. And John Massey was quite excited about that. If you were with us on the Patreon exclusive live betcast last night, he was on with us. He got pretty damn excited when Robertson put that goal in to win it for the Rangers 4-3. It wasn't all bad, though. We had the over by Fecta in that game. We also had both teams to score in the first period of that Bruins-Rangers game, which also came through. And then the late game, this was actually a 2-0 sweep, or actually 3-0 sweep, because we bet a live first period over, a live full game over, and a live Anaheim to score in the first period on the betcast. All three of those came through. Anaheim got the first period goal. First period did go over. We bet the live over 6.5 once the price fell a little bit, and it ended up being a 7-4 win for the Edmonton Oilers as Anaheim kind of ran out of gas, leaking oil in the second and third period of that game, got away from them. Rough night for Husso. A couple of those goals should have been stopped. I know the one that Nurse scored, that's a short side goal that he's just got to have it. But nevertheless, the streak is snapped for the Anaheim Ducks. 7-game win streak comes to an end, and the Oilers take advantage of a Ducks team a little road weary on a back-to-back after being in Calgary the previous night, even though Anaheim had 41 shots on goal in that game, 16-5 in the third period. It's a weird game to evaluate Tristan Jarry for Edmonton, because a couple of those goals I didn't love, but I actually thought he played pretty well in the third period because he was under siege in that third period and did a pretty good job keeping Anaheim at bay. The one goal they scored, Anaheim, in the third period was that deflection goal for Granlund. And by the way, how about this game? Multiple hat tricks, one for each team. Mikael Granlund for the Ducks, Mikael Granlund, I should say, for the Ducks, and Matthias Ekholm, the Swedish Viking. Can you believe it, of all people? Gets a hat trick here for the Edmonton Oilers. And it's crazy how many hat tricks we're seeing right now in the NHL. We've jumped on a lot of these live hat trick bets lately on betcasts, and we've talked about it. Something to look at. I mean, it's amazing, Alex, the number of hat tricks we're seeing in the NHL. So live hat trick bets. As soon as you see someone get 2 goals, it's something to look at right now. Your thoughts on Monday?
Yeah, we're looking at what 27 hat tricks I think we've had so far in the 27 days of
Yeah.
the month. Like that, that's something absolutely insane. I know there's a lot of books that offer that hat trick challenge and different things of that nature. If you're betting those, hopefully you're getting lucky and cashing a few of them. But like I said, certainly that's something great to take advantage of with in-game wagering, live wagering. We've been doing that with those bet casts. You've been doing that just throughout the nights as well. Kind of mentioning that in the Patreon chats as well. But like I said, a lot of interesting stuff. Anaheim, just kind of want to make a note what we were talking about with that game early on. And we were saying about how this is another team that will need to try to shore up their goaltending. Now, they have their starter in Lucas Dostal, which that's fine. You're in much better shape than some other teams who need to try and address possibly their number one goaltending. But that's a team that definitely needs to acquire a backup for their playoff race. They cannot look at themselves seriously. Quenneville cannot look at that team as a true contender when you know that there are some nights you're going to have to throw either a Ville Husso, who I think is just kind of, spit the bit. We've seen the best of him in St. Louis, and we may not see that again, or over the hill and often injured Peter Mrazek. You can't go into battle with those guys and be serious about winning. So Dostal's your guy, but you need to get a number two goalie if you're Anaheim as soon as possible.
Yeah, you do. I mean, you do have to address it. That's something you're going to have to shop around and look for. Pat Verbeek's going to have to, peruse and sift through the goalie market at the trade deadline. And it's easy to say that they don't grow on trees. That's a fair point from Jonathan. It's not, but like I said, put a package together that makes a team willing to part with a goalie, even if it's a backup. You need that. You need stability at that position. It's clear as day. If you're going to be in a playoff race, and like I said, Dostal. He had that little downturn after the injury, but he's gotten his game back. But you can't put him out there every game, especially now when he's already had an injury this season. You're going to have games where you're going to need Husso or Mrazek to start. And right now there are questions about the performance level you're getting from that backup spot right now in net for the Anaheim Ducks. All right, so let's get into Tuesday because it's a big slate, and we've got a lot of interesting spots, a lot of interesting games to talk about on this 10-game Tuesday slate, and we'll begin with one of the biggest games of the night, and it's one of the biggest games of the season for the Toronto Maple Leafs as they host the Buffalo Sabres. We've got Toronto minus 115, slight home favorites here in this game, 6.5 the total. There's a lot of things to talk about here. This is Buffalo or pass for me from a side perspective. I opted to stay off Buffalo tonight, though, for a couple of reasons. One, this is the end of a winless homestand for the Toronto Maple Leafs. They lost to Minnesota, Detroit, Vegas, and Colorado. 0-4-1 on the homestand, picking up just 1 point in those 4 games. There was a closed-door meeting with Craig Berube, Austin Matthews, John Tavares, leadership group of the Leafs prior to this game tonight. Now, who the hell knows if it's going to lead to, a win or a better result and better performance here from the Toronto Maple Leafs. But Craig Berube felt the need to address his leaders. Matthews, Tavares, I'm heard, were in that meeting, among others. And like I said, will that bring Toronto's A game tonight? We'll see. It has to start with a better first period. You can't have these first periods that they've been doling out there here in the last couple of games. You're down early against the Vegas Golden Knights on Mitch Marner's return night. You're down early against the Colorado Avalanche, and it just puts you behind the 8 ball. And those, you're playing teams that are too good, to spot a quick 2-0 lead like that. And that's been a big problem here for the Toronto Maple Leafs of late. So maybe you get a great effort. I expect desperation. I expect urgency. It's a spot you're supposed to see it with Toronto, 5 points out of the wild card, Buffalo ahead of them in the standings, one of the teams they need to catch as far as playoff positioning is concerned. But at the end of the day, I don't fully trust Toronto, and Buffalo's playing too well that I don't want to get in their way right now at this point in time. We saw the Sabres shut out the Islanders, obviously, in their last game, 5-0. And they're scoring goals in bunches. This Sabres team has actually scored 4 more goals in 8 of their last 10 games. So they have been feeling it at the offensive end of the ice as of late. We'll see if that continues here tonight in this game. One thing to note is this is a bit of a series history over 6-3-1 to the over in the last 10 meetings. The previous 2 meetings this year, Sabres Leafs were both overs, 5-3, 4-3 back in October. Were the final scores of those 2 games. So I'm going to go with a draw here because I do feel it's a close game, competitive. But I like the over by Fecta here as well, Sabres and Leafs. I mean, it's hard to not like it, right? Buffalo's been trending first period overs, full game overs of late. Toronto has struggled defensively a lot during this time. Buffalo scoring in bunches. So we'll go with the over by Fecta and the draw here. Don't have anything on the side. I would say if you're going to take Toronto, take them first goal, first period. All the talk is we need a good start, top to bottom. The coach, Craig Berube, is talking about it. Matthew Nyes is talking about it. Austin Matthews, Tavares, they've all said the same thing. We can't get off to a slow start again. It's happened 2 straight times. Really, every home game here, with the Detroit game, they scored first. But Minnesota, they got behind the 8 ball early. Vegas, they got behind the 8 ball early. Colorado, they got behind the 8 ball early. If you're going to endorse and invest in Toronto tonight, I would say take a shot with first goal, first period. That might be the best route to take and not necessarily trust them to win the game. Before we get to Alex, we've got Matt Robinson here. We just want to say hello, welcome him in. Matt, how was the road trip out there? As far as you and the Reno Ice Raiders out to Santa Rosa, how did that go over the weekend?
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. Ended up getting the split. Nice, good win Friday night, which I guess, Reno, even back to the Vacaville Raiders days, which we've now been in Reno about 5 years, had never beat Santa Rosa in Santa Rosa. So Friday's win was kind of a big deal. And then Saturday, we got off to a slow start. We were down 2-0, 10 minutes into the first period. And then I think there was maybe 15 fights. There was a line brawl at one point. So it just kind of got out of hand by the third period. I think it was 5-1, halfway through the third, and then just guys started going. So I think 7 or 8 guys were kicked out.
It's entertaining hockey. I've watched some of Reno's games with Matt. It is.
Yeah, I've watched a couple too. Yeah.
A lot of intensity.
Yeah, it was a lot, but no, good trip overall. Nice little area out there. So definitely enjoyed it. And then we're home this weekend against San Diego, and then we're off to Dallas next weekend. So to play the Barracuda. So that's always a fun one because it's a lot of guys I grew up with and things like that. So I'm actually going to catch the Stars game next Wednesday against the Blues. It'll be a TNT game, so it'll be a later start in Central Time. But yeah, Stars game, couple games down there. So definitely looking forward to it.
Good stuff indeed. We'll get Matt's thoughts in Sabres Leafs in a minute. Alex, we'll go to you. Buffalo, Toronto.
Yeah, this is a step-up game for Buffalo in the sense of if you're going to really insert yourself into this conversation of we're a team truly playing for the playoffs, we're a force within the Atlantic Division, you got to step up and win this game, honestly. I'm not betting them pregame, but this needs to be, like I said, one of, if not the most important games of the year for Buffalo, as well as Toronto. And so, like, with that being said, I do have a piece of the draw plus 325 over at Bet Online, but I'm looking to see if Buffalo can step up and win this game. This would really show me something if the Sabres can win this game. As impressive as this streak has been, I think this is one of those spots where you have to go on the road against a team that, keep in mind, back in the days when Buffalo was rebuilding, they were dominating some really good Toronto teams and winning in this building often. But we've seen the tide turn in this series of late. So this is a big game for Buffalo. I like the draw here. I like first period over, and I'll lay it pregame minus 135. I'm not going to wait around for this one. I also have both teams to score in the first period plus 154. This is an entertaining game. I don't say that too often about Buffalo or Toronto. This is one that will be on my TV early tonight.
It will be. It is one of the bigger games for sure. It's huge for Toronto, but let's not act like Buffalo's just going to mail this thing in. They're playing great hockey. They're the better team right now, and Buffalo knows they've got an opportunity here. Put the stake through the heart of a division rival, because if Toronto loses this game and it's a winless homestand, and now you got to go out west before the Olympic break, Seattle and Vancouver are beatable, but then you got Alberta teams on a back-to-back, Edmonton, Calgary. To be honest, 3 of those 4 games are winnable. It's not like let's not act like it's a road trip that's detrimental, like it's a brutally tough road trip. Seattle you can beat, Vancouver you can beat, Calgary you can beat, but still winless on this homestand would be so bitterly disappointing.
And if you're Buffalo, you have to say to yourselves, Toronto's the team we want to be. Toronto's been in the playoffs 20-something years. They ain't been able to do shit, but they've been in the dance. We want to get to the dance. You beat the teams who get to the dance, and this is the way you do it. We've talked about this with other teams that have got. We talked about this last year with Ottawa. There was a lot of Montreal. There were step-up spots, step-up games for them last year, and they won those games, and that's how they ended up getting into the playoffs. This is one of those, I think, for Buffalo. Even though this isn't as strong of a Toronto team as we normally see, as they normally face, Buffalo has to treat it as such tonight.
Yeah. Well, it's hard to deny what one of our YouTube people is saying here about the Leafs. Type 2 Life. That's what I figured I'd sing your nickname as there. Type 2 Life. Leafs absolutely suck. Yeah, they do right now. I mean, it's been a bad homestand. It's been a bad homestand, but it sounds like they're coming out with the burr in their saddle tonight. We'll see. Like I said, if I were to bet the Leafs tonight, it would be first goal, first period. I don't know if I'm ready to trust them full game, but all the focus is on a good start, something they have not had at all in the last 2 home losses against Vegas, Colorado. Maddie, what do you think here? Sabres, Leafs.
Yeah, it's definitely tough. I lean Buffalo here. I don't know that I'm going to take it. They've just been so hot lately, and Toronto has not. I think I'll wait and watch a little of this game to see if I jump in on any sides. Honestly, if this is kind of a back and forth game, Buffalo looks to be in, normal form for how they currently have been playing, and Toronto scores early, I might jump in on Buffalo and get a nice like plus 160 price or something like that. They've just been playing really well, but I love the first period over in this one. It was one of my picks on my Beyond the Lines episode today. Buffalo's 9-1 to a goal in the first 10 minutes, 7-3 to first period overs. Toronto's 7-3 to goal in first 10 minutes and to first period overs. So 2 teams streaking to goals early. You add the angle of Toronto really wanting to have a good start, and Buffalo's had good starts as of late. So I think we see at least 2 in the first period here. And then I agree with you. I like the over here. I know season history, series history, we've seen a lot of overs with these teams. I think what I may do is be heavy on first period over and then throw a little bit on a first period full game parlay, 5.5. And then if we can get, a 6 in game, I'll probably double down on that total as well, especially if we see some pace early, but no goals in the first minute or 2. So that's kind of how I'll play this. I could make a case for Buffalo, maybe split with the team total just with how good they're playing right now. I think I saw over 3.5 at like plus 115, plus 120. So I think that's a solid price. But I think for me, it's a 10-game card. You got to pick your spots. I can't take 6 or 7 bets in every single game. So I think my big play here is the first period over, and then I'll do a little same game parlay pregame, and then we'll try and jump in on a total live and potentially take a Buffalo live depending on how the game starts.
Yeah, no doubt. I would say Peyton Krebs. We talked about how he's been scoring a little bit more lately. We've talked about Jason Zucker has scored in back-to-back games. He's worth a look. I would say Josh Doan's worth a look for Buffalo tonight because his dad's still in the Leaf organization, right, in the front office. So in Toronto, why not Josh Doan make an impact? And I'm with Jonathan on what he mentioned about for Toronto. I would expect this could be one of those Matthews, Tavares, like the leadership group is the group that was talking with Berube before this game. Those are the guys you got to look to lead the way. But if I'm going to look down the board, it's hard to ignore what Jonathan said in the chat about Nick Robertson. Nick Robertson has scored 4 goals in 4 games against UPL. He scored in 83% of the head-to-head games that he has been in the lineup against the Buffalo Sabres. So for some reason, Nick Robertson, boy, oh boy, he likes playing the Buffalo Sabres. 83% of the time against Buffalo, he has found the back of the net and hit pay dirt. So plus 475 or so, best price out there for Nick Robertson. Makes a lot of sense here that he could find the back of the net here for the Leafs in this game tonight. UPL expected in net, and Joe Woll is confirmed in net for Toronto. And that tells you all you need to know about the confidence level or lack of it for Anthony Stolarz right now, that the biggest game of the Leaf season, Woll is getting the call.
UPL's confirmed now, too. Just checking that.
UPL. Yeah, there you go. And I don't blame him. I mean, Stolarz could barely grip the puck on that, spit the rebound out on the one Vegas goal. You could tell he was rusty as hell against Vegas, and I don't think they feel he's back to A form yet. That's why they're going with Woll in a game of this magnitude. All right, Winnipeg, New Jersey. We've got New Jersey minus 125 home favorites, 5.5 the total in this game. God, these are 2 teams that it's not easy to make a case for them here in this game, but I've chosen to make a case for one of these 2 teams. You look at this Devils team, they're off a 4-game road trip, 3-1 on the trip, lost the last game against Seattle. back home. 48 hours, by the way. That's it. That was a Sunday afternoon game in Seattle. Now they're back home 48 hours later for this first home game off a 4-game road trip. It's not that long length road trip that I really love fading teams in, but it's concerning enough that, they went to the Mountain Time Zone, Calgary, Edmonton, Pacific Time Zone for Vancouver and Seattle, and now they're back home following that trip. And I want Winnipeg in this spot. Scott Arniel just read his team the riot act after the Detroit game. We're soft. We're playing pond hockey, embarrassing, called his team out. We just took advantage of a situation just like this with Patrick Waugh and the New York Islanders last night, calling his team out after a horrific game. Now, the Winnipeg Jets are not the easiest team to trust, but for one night, when Scott Arniel just absolutely tears a freaking strip off the team following that loss against the Detroit Red Wings, I'm willing to trust them here tonight in this spot. Give me Jets first period, first goal. Give me Jets first period money line and full game money line. 3 bets that we hit with the Islanders last night. Again, I don't like backing Winnipeg routinely, unless what Arniel says what he says. You got what? You suck that hard? You got no heart? You got no grit? You got no character whatsoever? And you're just going to lay down tonight again? If you're Winnipeg, coming off, Scott Arniel's comments following that 5-1 loss to Detroit. If that's the case, maybe they will lose tonight. Maybe they are that damn bad right now, the Winnipeg Jets. But I will buy into them here tonight in this game. First goal, first period, and a first period full game money line split with the Jets. I actually think this is a stone cold under in this game. He's talking about stop playing pond hockey, Arniel, is what he told his team after the loss to Detroit. So I'd expect defensive focus here from the Jets. You got Jake Allen for New Jersey, who we trust a little bit more than Markstrom. It isn't confirmed yet, but I think it'll be Connor Hellebuck here for the Winnipeg Jets. So I do expect a kind of a low and slow game under. Makes sense to me. But, yeah, I'm on Winnipeg in those 3 different varieties here. First goal, first period, and the first period full game money line split as well. Alex, what do you think here? Jets, Devils. Muted. Hold on. Still showing mute on the bottom. There you go.
Good now?
You're good now. Yeah.
Okay. All right. We do have confirmations and goal for both teams. We have Jake Allen for New Jersey. We have Hellebuck for Winnipeg.
There you go.
And I can't trust in Winnipeg full game right now. I get Scott Arniel, like I said, ripping him and ripping his team and getting that motivation. And this should be a step up spot. But the only thing I can back pregame right now would be first goal, first period. You can get plus 140 with that over at FanDuel. But this team still looks like a mess. And they can still come out and get a 1-0, 2-0 lead and find a way to blow it the way that they played right now. So, yeah, I'm still leery of backing this team in a full 60-minute effort. But at least getting on the board first, I do like that. So first goal, first period, plus 140 is only a play for me.
Plus, they haven't been great on the road. They're 8-16 on the road. They're good enough to beat Minnesota on the road. I'm still wondering how the hell they did that, beating Minnesota 6-2 Winnipeg. But they're also bad enough to get shut out by Chicago on the road the last time they were away from home. So, like I said, definitely it's been plus, you know what, a thing I might look at too is because you talked about we're playing pond hockey. It's embarrassing, what we're doing. It's guys are basically calling out their defensive detail and their defensive effort like Waugh did for the Islanders. Maybe a New Jersey team total under 2.5 could be something to consider here in this game, that maybe the Winnipeg Jets are able to shut down the Devils a little bit here in this one. Matt, what do you think? Winnipeg, New Jersey.
This may be a pregame pass for me, just given the size of the card. I want to take Winnipeg here. I like that plus 105, but to Alex's point, I just, I think they will come out with some jam after, the comments, but I just don't know if I trust them to win this game. And then on the other side of things, I don't really trust New Jersey. Regardless of if they're at home, I mean, maybe take a shot with them when they're plus money, but they haven't been, they've been very average 5-5 over their last 10. So, yeah, I just don't think there's anything for me in this game. I would lean under as well, which, as you know, I don't bet a lot of unders, so I'll probably just be off this game. I think if I see some pace early, if I do tune into a little bit of this game and Winnipeg looks, sort of refreshed, then maybe take a shot with Winnipeg if you can get a good plus price. But yeah, pregame, I don't know that I've got anything in this game.
This might be a good game to look at if you see Winnipeg, especially for me personally, if Winnipeg scores early, grabbing a live under, or maybe even if you feel like this could be a low and slow kind of a contest, go with what Perlo always talks about: no goal first 5 minutes tied to the under 6.5 or 7.5. Not combining those two together. That's giving you a little bit of a bubble security here, because like I said, if the Jets get out to a lead, the fact that they're already talking about playing more responsible defensively, they're going to want to try and clamp down on a 1-0, 2-0 lead. So
Adam Lowry, the captain, signed off on everything his coach said after Saturday night, saying it's fair criticism, it's warranted. We know we have to be a lot more responsible and play the right way. Give me Adam Lowry, goal prop tonight. You know that guy coming off a game like that. One thing about the captain is, win or lose, I know he's going to play a hard game tonight for the Winnipeg Jets. So this feels like a go down. Adam Lowry does not score, routinely. And he's only scored once in the last 10 games, but he has scored against New Jersey in the past, and he's plus 700 in that range to find the back of the net tonight. So I like the captain in this spot, coming off, your coach basically giving you the business after that Detroit game. We'll see if the captain's got a goal in him tonight for Winnipeg. All right, Vegas, Montreal. Vegas minus 115 road favorite, 6.5 the total in this game. This is a Vegas team that, oh my gosh, it couldn't have gone much worse for them against the Ottawa Senators. 7-1 thumping at the hands of the Ottawa Senators. It was just a complete and utter, really a no-show from the Vegas Golden Knights. Not just that they played bad. It's like, it was just in body and not in spirit for that game on Sunday against the Ottawa Senators. So it was a rough one. It looked like an NHL team versus a junior team, is the quote from Mark Stone following the loss against the Ottawa Senators. It wasn't what we are. There's things that will probably flush, but you can't flush it because you can't let this be the expectation. I didn't like our battle level at all, Cassidy said. Typically the team will have pushback, but we didn't have that either. So this one, we're going to have an honest discussion about it. So I like Vegas first goal, first period here. I do. I mean, I think that after a game like that, you got to have some kind of response level. I would expect that. Do they win the game? I think so, but I really like the first period looks here a little bit more than full game with the Vegas Golden Knights here in this game. Jakub Dobeš will get the nod in net here for the Montreal Canadiens, and they're stuck right now because they sent Fowler back down. And by the way, there's some growing concerns about the crease for the Montreal Canadiens. Fowler, I just saw him give up 4 or 5 goals in an AHL start last night. Of late. So even down back in the American League, it hasn't been smooth sailing for Jacob Fowler. And we know Montembeau's back to being an absolute mess again the last few times we've seen him in net. And now you go to Dobeš, and Dobeš has given up 3+ goals in 4 straight starts. So his play, as of late has not been all that great. So I like Vegas first goal, first period a lot in this game. The first period money line probably will sprinkle on the full game money line, but lesser amount than the first period looks for me with the Golden Knights in this game. And I do like over 6.5. I'll wait for a cheaper number with the first period over. By the way, the total goals in the last 4 meetings, Golden Knights Habs in Montreal, 8, 9, 11, 7. We've had just a ton of goals in these games in Montreal between Vegas and Montreal in recent meetings. So, but I will wait for a first period over at a better number. I'll only bet the pregame, full game over, along with those Vegas first period looks. The one I like the most is the first goal, first period for the Golden Knights. Alex, what do you think here? Vegas, Montreal.
I'm gonna get a little greedier with that over bet fact. I'm wait for both in game. Try and get a 6. Try and get better price with that first period over. And I like the first period over a little bit more in this one, even though that's a hell of a strong trend. Like you're saying, that's very, very high scoring games.
8-11, 10-7. Last 4 total goals in Montreal.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'll play my odds and get a little greedy with that. But I do like what you like pregame, Vegas first goal, first period, and I'm also taking a shot with the draw here. Grabbing a little piece of that East versus West, both teams knowing they need the points. And if this is a kind of a track meet, I'd see it being more back and forth than just Vegas blowing out Montreal or vice versa. So wait for the over by fact in game, but pregame on Vegas first goal, first period, and have a little piece of the draw as well.
All right, there we have it. Good stuff. By the way, this falls into that category, too, of what have we talked about? What's become a theme? And it's certainly been a theme locally in Montreal. Montreal has a harder time with what? The physical, bigger, harder teams. The forecheck teams, the heavy teams. Those are the teams that have been the kryptonite for Montreal. Well, Vegas fits that bill as a team like that. So, and that is a stumbling block and something that we have to continue to be concerned about with Montreal when they match up against the heavy forecheck teams, the hard on puck teams, the cycle teams, and like I said, just the teams that can lean on you physically. And Vegas kind of fits the prototype of being one of those teams. What do you think here, Matt? Vegas, Montreal.
I'm going to keep it simple and just do a first period full game parlay here. I got in at plus 124 for the 1.5, 5.5.
Matty Rob special.
Yep, exactly. So I think we do see goals here. I think Vegas will come out, probably score the first, but I wouldn't be surprised if Montreal is able to chip in the first as well. So we just need 2 in the first, and then if we get 2 in the first, I feel real good that we'll get to 6. So I'll just hit it with a Matty Rob special and keep it simple.
All right, good stuff. I mean, Cole Caulfield's on a 5-game goal streak. We're not going to get a great price on him, plus 150. But if you want to ride the wave that is Cole Caulfield right now for the Montreal Canadiens, and I don't blame anyone for doing it, but it is only plus 150. But he has been, as hot as it can get right now offensively for the Montreal Canadiens. So we'll see if he can make it 6 straight games with a goal for them. Going into this game here tonight. I think for Vegas, when you look at it, it's probably a Dorofeyev. When Vegas scores and responds offensively, he usually has a part in it. So, Dorofeyev could be worth a look. Mark Stone is someone that was very vocal about how bad it was, making that comment about NHL versus a junior team regarding that loss against Ottawa. So maybe it's a Mark Stone night to potentially step up here, find the back of the net as well for the Vegas Golden Knights. And like I said, for Montreal, I would say Caulfield, ride the streak. Tessier is back, by the way, it looks like, for Montreal, back in the lineup. And it looks like, well, he returned against Boston on Saturday, but he's back on the top line. So there's probably some Alexander Tessier value here for the Montreal Canadiens with him being up there on the top line. Utah, Florida. Florida minus 145, home favorite, 6 the total in this game. What a road trip for the Florida Panthers, but here they are back home, successful, solid road trip. Now, it wasn't a long road trip. It was only 3 games, so it's not as bad, as you would think, but they've done a lot of travel. I mean, they had the islands. Don't forget, this team has been on the road and traveling all month since January 6th. This team started since January 6th. They had a 6-game road trip, which started on January 6th, Toronto, Montreal, Ottawa, Buffalo, Carolina, Washington. They go back home for that 1 game against San Jose, where we really didn't like Florida in that spot. And then they went back on the road for 3 games against Winnipeg, Minnesota, Chicago, won all 3 games on that road trip. And I don't love this spot for Florida here, but I don't know if I trust Utah for the full game. What I am going to do, though, is I think they could be a little sluggish here at the opening of this game. And, you can't be prisoner of last night. It was ugly. That Utah gets shut out and can't score against a depleted Tampa Bay team. No one's going to want to come back and take them tonight. Nobody, following a performance like that, especially with Florida winning all 3 games of the road trip and looking like they're revving up to make a playoff push here for a wild card spot. But I am interested in Utah early. I'm going to take small shots here because, didn't like the way that game went. But this is, I think, a very, very tricky little spot here to begin for Florida with all the travel. That I'll take Utah first goal, first period, and Utah first period money line. Not full game. That's it. We're stopping at first period because the bottom line is if Florida's going to get up 1-0 or 2-0 in the first period, Utah's probably not winning the game anyway. So my thought here is that we get the Mammoth early, coming off a shutout loss against Tampa Bay, to have a good start, focused, dialed in first 20 minutes, maybe catch Florida a little sluggish, a little slow out of the gate, off the road trip in that opening period. So I like the Utah early looks, but I don't fully trust them for the 60 minutes. So just Utah early, first goal, first period, and Utah first period money line. I will probably look toward a Utah first period goal prop as well once that line drops a little bit in game during the first period, that is. Alex, what do you think here? Utah, Florida.
It's funny because I actually had Utah first period money line circle, which I don't bet that often. You bet those way more than I do, but I like that along with first goal, first period. I also like team total over 3. We went to the flat 3 last night. Of course, fell short with a shutout, but at even money, I will take a shot here because even if, like I said, Florida, we've seen them. They did it in the Hawks game the other night where they didn't have their legs and their momentum under them, but it came in late. So this could be a spot where Utah jumps on them early. Florida wakes up and they jump in with some offense as well. So I will be on that Utah team total. I think they can get the 3. I like the over 6 here as well in this spot. So going with that team total over, full game over, but also liking Utah stuff early. First period, money line, first period, first goal rather, or first period.
Yeah, there we go. Like I said, I definitely think this is first period. To me, like I said, I don't expect Florida's best right out of the gate. Maybe get better as the game goes on. But again, with the 3-0 road trip, riding a high, and Utah, I would expect to have a strong at least start. Now, whether it's good enough, we'll see. But again, strong start. And the teams on the back-to-back have been doing well in the first period. Absolutely, Timothy, 100%. Look at Anaheim last night. They had a good first period, and then things kind of got away from them after that. Matt, what do you think here in this one? Utah, Mammoth, Florida, Panthers.
Yeah, I'm going to take a shot on the first period over in this one. Utah coming off the shutout, I expect them to have a nice push, which I think is aligned with both you guys. And then we'll either get a sort of lackadaisical Florida team after the long road trip, or they'll continue in kind of how they played in those last 3 games. And I expect them to get a goal early. So could be Utah 2-0, 2-1. It could be 1-1 after the first. But I like the first period over in this one. And then I like the full game over as well at 6. But I might wait a few minutes and see if I can get either a 5.5 or a good plus price on 6. So pregame, just the first period over for me.
As Jonathan says, Gunther's got good numbers against Bobrovsky. You know what's amazing is Timothy posted the goal saved above average numbers, goal saved above average, goal saved above expected, however you want to call it, for both of the goals. We expect Vanacek tonight because it is back-to-back after Vejmelka. Vanacek's actually got better goals saved above expected this year than Bobrovsky. How crazy is that? My goodness, that tells you how much of a, it's been a shaky season for goalie Bob standards here for the Florida Panthers. But like I said, that's not something you would have expected. That's for sure that Vanacek would have a better goal saved above expected. Kraus for for Utah as far as a goal prop here. Florida, by the way, we have seen Reinhart score in back-to-back games here for the Florida Panthers. So maybe you ride the wave with him as far as a goal prop. The only other one I'd maybe look at is I'm seeing that he might be on the second line. I'm seeing Bennett, Kachuk, and this Latvian kid who has been just called up to the Panthers and gotten into 8 games so far, Sandis Vilmanis. This is someone that might have an elevated spot in the lineup tonight. And if that's the case, there's probably some value with his props. All right, Los Angeles Kings, Detroit Red Wings. We've got Detroit minus 125, home favorites, 5.5 the total here in this game. It's a weird spot for LA because they've been on the road and they were expecting to play Columbus yesterday. That game gets postponed by the snowstorm, and now they play here tonight against Detroit as scheduled. Detroit off a 5-1 win at Winnipeg. LA coming off back-to-back wins, believe it or not. Rangers 4-3, Blues 5-4 in a shootout. And for as bad as the Kings have been at home, 7-16, they are 1 game above 500, 12-11 here on the road. That being said, I'm not going to really get too excited that the LA 2-game win streak has come against the Rangers and the Blues. I mean, that's the sisters of the poor, without a doubt, beating those 2 teams in back-to-back games. This was initially a pass because when this line opened, Detroit was around minus 140. I'm like, that's a little bit rich. I don't want to lay minus 140. Now I see it as low as minus 125, minus 118 is the best price out there that I see at a couple of spots. So, like I said, with the price drop, I'm on the Red Wings here at minus 118, especially with John Gibson confirmed in net. Now, they are without Simon Edvinsson on defense, and they do miss him. But, boy, has Gibson ever been terrific. Just continues to really be dialed in. He was awesome against Toronto, only gave up a goal. Awesome against Winnipeg, only gave up a goal. In fact, if that trend continues of him playing well, this might be a spot where not only do you like Detroit money line, but maybe you sprinkle on that Kings team total under here in this game, because obviously it may not be easy putting the puck behind John Gibson, who is a brick wall right now in net for the Red Wings. Matt, what do you think here? LA, Detroit.
I'm in the same boat. I think Detroit's with the shot here at minus 125. LA is just an easy team to fade, and I don't know. At home, I think Detroit. I think that's a pretty reasonable price for a team that I just feel is a better team, and they're at home. It's not like a weird schedule spot for Detroit or anything like that. So, not a back-to-back for either team. So I'm gonna take a shot here with Detroit minus 125.
All right, yeah, like I said, and the Kings team total under, I might tack that on for a small look as well. I agree with JVR. JVR is definitely, like I said, someone to consider here. Casper, the friendly betting ghost. I think he's going to get on a roll here, especially if he keeps playing on the top line for the Detroit Red Wings. Finally did score against Winnipeg. He's playing with Larkin and Raymond, so I like Casper. Raymond, I wouldn't talk anyone out of Lucas Raymond. He's been feeling it. He's been piling up the points. He has goals in back-to-back games as well for the Detroit Red Wings going into this game. So JVR, Marco Casper, the friendly betting ghost, Lucas Raymond. Those are some props I like for Detroit. For LA, I'm seeing, by the way, for LA, let's see if he plays tonight. Taylor Ward has actually scored in consecutive games for the LA Kings. He just signed an extension as well with the team on Monday. And this is his first game since the extension. So it's like contract extension bump, and he scored in back-to-back games for the Los Angeles Kings. So Taylor, we're just making sure he's in the lineup, but I think he is. Taylor Ward here for the LA Kings. That might be worth a look. I'm also seeing that there's a potential of Corey Perry lining up on the top line with LaFerriere and with Kempe. So if that is indeed the case, there's definitely going to be value on Corey Perry, the old man, if he lines up on the top line. Yeah, Ward's in. So I think Ward's a good prop. I really do. Plus 650. In some spots for him to find the back of the net. Back-to-back games with a goal, little contract extension bump that he signed on Monday, so why not? Nashville and Boston. Alex will be back in a minute. We've got Nashville and he's passing on that game anyway. Nashville and Boston, even money both sides. 6.5 the total here in this game. Let me see what the first period overs, because I'm on the full game over for sure. In this one. And right now, I've only bet over 6.5 full game. These are just riding total streaks for both of these squads, Predators and Bruins. It's been 6 straight overs for the Nashville Predators, and it's been 5 straight overs for the Boston Bruins coming into this game. And the thing with Nashville is they are very much a team that is they're scoring in bunches. Like Stamkos can't be stopped right now. He's been phenomenal. This team is lighting the lamp. Everyone's contributing. And yes, they're on a massive tick up offensively, but it's come at the expense of them keeping the puck out of the net. And UC Saros has been a train wreck of late. It's been an absolute mess for the Nashville Predators. And Andrew Burnett doesn't seem to want to give him a rest. Not that he can afford to give him a rest, because you need points. You're trying to make the playoffs, and you have useless Onanen right behind him, who you don't fully trust. So he's got no choice. Even though Saros looks like he's playing too much, he looks completely and utterly exhausted, and it's impacting his play in net. You got to keep going to him because he's still the best you've got. And that's the problem Burnett's running into right now, that this is just, he's just not playing at a high level. He's just seen the puck too much rubber, too many games. The workload's too much, and it's really getting to him. And it is. I mean, he's not been great. He's been average at best, UC Saros, of late for Nashville. So Boston obviously can score. They're at home. They've been scoring goals in bunches at home throughout the season. You look at Boston at home, 4 goals against Montreal, 4 against Vegas, 4 against Seattle, 3 against Detroit, the 10 spot against the Rangers. They're usually good for 4 goals at home, Boston. So you probably have a good chance to get that here where they played good hockey, obviously, TD Garden. Nashville can chip in, and Nashville's given up 5+ in 3 of their last 4 games. But I think Nashville can find the back of the net here. Swayman will be in net after it was Korpisalo last night, and hasn't been great from Jeremy Swayman. Certainly hasn't been consistent from Jeremy Swayman here in some of his recent starts. He gave up 6 against Dallas, gave up 3 on just 25 shots, albeit being victorious against Montreal. So, like I said, I like the full game over. I'm going to wait, see if I can get a better first period over number as well in this one. I would only look at Nashville too. They do have a rest advantage, and it is back-to-back for Boston, but there's still a part of me that says, well, Boston plays well at home. They score at home, and I don't trust what I'm seeing out of the goalie right now for Nashville defensively, but especially from Saros in net. So I lean Nashville, but I like the total more. Alex, what do you think here, Predators, Bruins?
This is an over trifecta, and the way I'm playing it is I grabbed First period over 1.5, -130 pregame. That's still available at FanDuel, by the way. You can also get both teams to score in the first period, +164. The over, I grabbed a little piece of 6, -125 earlier. That's now moved up to 130 at Caesars, and it's 6.5 at other shops. So that part out of the trifecta, I'd wait for in game. Try and get a little bit better of a price at 6, something closer to pick 'em range or plus money. But I think, like I said, there's going to be goals back and forth here. This is a game. It fits draw season criteria, but I don't like the draw here. I feel like this could be a game where it goes back and forth, but a team breaks away, maybe gets an empty net goal here. So I am not on the draw on this, even though usually this would kind of fit that situation, liking goals more. So over trifecta, and like I said, if you can't get that 6, or if you're seeing an inflated price for the 6, wait for that in game.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like I said, I would look at the Nashville side, but I just like the total look in this game quite a bit more. What do you think here, Matty? Predators, Bruins.
I'm in a similar boat. I saw Perlo commented. I got in at 6 on this one. I think I got in at -125 last night. It seemed like too good of a price for teams that are just soaring to the overs. So I'm in it at 6. Given I did like the first period. It was a little juicy, but I think what I'm going to do, given Alex's trifecta, he feels pretty confident. We see both teams to score on the first. I'll add to my over 6 and do a same game parlay, 1.5, 5.5. Should be a right around plus money, little over plus money. So I think that's how I'll approach it, and then I can just not really pay attention, and hopefully the box scores 2-1 after 1, 4-2 after 2, and all the bets hit, and we're just hanging out. So don't really. I mean, I know it's a pick 'em. I would lean Boston here, especially at home, but I think for me, I'm just going to stick to the over 6 and the same game parlay and just hope for a bunch of goals either way.
Yeah, I like it with what Aaron's saying. Arvidsson, absolutely. Arvidsson with the Bruins, former Predator, former player angle in play. No question. You could see that worth a shot for sure as far as a goal prop in this game tonight. Stamkos back-to-back games with a goal. Morgan Geekie for Boston, back-to-back games with a goal. Marchessault, John Masserole, back-to-back games with a goal for the Nashville Predators here as well going into this game. Not to mention, I think Jonathan knows the stats, but Stamkos, a lot of his goals have been first goal for the Predators. So keep that in mind. Maybe the first goal is worth a look here once again for Steven Stamkos. First Predators goal. He scored the first Predators goal against Utah. I know that on the weekend, even though they lost 5-2. So that's definitely something to keep in mind as well. So, yeah, and Marchessault has 4 goals in 7 games versus Jeremy Swayman, according to Jonathan. So, solid chance for him to build on the 2 consecutive game goal streak he has entering tonight. All right, Chicago and Minnesota. We've got Minnesota -210, home favorite, 6 the total in this game. Mom's trip for the Blackhawks here tonight. And we're all wondering, do you hate your moms? Really? Like, why are they scheduled to go to Minnesota as the mom's trip here when this Blackhawks team has spent 11 consecutive years losing every game in Minnesota? Why would you do that to them? Why? Why would you do that? And here you are, you're going to put the moms in there when they are going to a place in a city and a team where they have not won on the road in 11 years as a franchise. So maybe they're just thinking, hey, we need something special to get this fucking losing streak in Minnesota ended. And maybe it's going to take the moms getting involved here for this one. Yeah, Foligno versus Foligno. Let's see with moms in attendance, Mrs. Foligno in attendance. Yeah, let's see Marcus.
Oh, that's probably the reason. That might actually be the full-on reason why they're doing the mom trip today, because you've got your captain, going up against his brother, and they did have a special thing when the Wild last played in Chicago. They were doing a whole fundraiser. Which they've been really, both the Foligno brothers have been really great with that, doing a cancer fund for charity. So that probably has a lot to do with why the mom's trip is around this time.
There you go. All right, there you go. That's actually a reasonable explanation as to why that is. But yeah, well, we'll see if it helps Chicago. We'll see. I mean, Minnesota hasn't played obviously since Saturday. It was hockey day in Minnesota. Obviously, we saw them lose to the Florida Panthers in that game by a score of 4-3. they've been off since then, no travel. So I expect Minnesota to play well and bounce back, but there's no doubt about it with the Moms in attendance and off the disappointment in the third period. That was a terrible third period against Florida on Sunday for Chicago. You got to believe they're going to play their ass off tonight, play hard, really do everything they can to snap this ugly losing streak in Minnesota, back-to-back after the back-to-back home losses to Tampa and Florida. And it is worth noting with Minnesota, they are just 4-6, by the way, in their last 10 games. So it's not like Minnesota's been this unbeatable juggernaut here. The last 10 games, they've been kind of playing mediocre 500 hockey. So even with the bad track record, pizza money bet for me on Chicago at this price, especially with the price you're getting with the Moms in attendance at plus 170. But you know what I like in this game. It's the best damn over streak going involving any one team in the NHL. 14-1 to the over in the last 15 Minnesota games, 17-4 to the over in the 21 games since Quinn Hughes arrived in that trade. So nothing more to add. You guys know why I like it. Over 6 and over first period as well. But I like the full game. As always with these Minnesota overs, I like the first period more because that's the streak that has been absolutely phenomenal. So over 1.5 first period, over 6, which I like even more for the full game, and a little sprinkle on Chicago. Maybe the draw too, because we did see overtime the last time these teams met. Alex, what do you think here, Chicago, Minnesota?
So now we've gotten back to what usually we see with Minnesota. Overpriced at home. Now, granted, like I said, 16-0-1 is a strong streak against a single opponent. But when you look at how the Wild have played at home of late, it has not been anything to write home about. Yes, you got a 4-3 win the other day in overtime against Detroit, but then you lost 4-3 against Florida. Before that, when you went on before a 3-game road trip out east, you had 3 games at home against the Islanders, the Devils, the Jets, who suck, and you lost all 3 of those as well. So this is not a Wild team that deserves to be laying 210 against anybody in the league right now. And then conversely, you have a Hawks team. They played a bunch of games at home. This is a team that needs to get the hell out of Chicago, needs to get somewhere different. Like I said, now you've got things changed up. You brought the moms on the road trip. Not really sure why you bring your mom way up here to St. Paul in late January, as cold as it is and all the shit that's going on. But like I said, it's besides the point. I like Chicago here in this spot tonight. I like the Hawks plus 170. I like the team total quite a bit. And, of course, we're looking at the overs. Over by factor for me. I'm already bet over 6. I got a minus $1.10 yesterday. But $1.15, $1.20 still floating around. Grab any 6 you can. Loving the full game over. First period over, minus 128 over, available at FanDuel on that one. And I have a bargain bin. I actually have 2 bargain bins on one player from Chicago. I'll be talking about a little bit later.
Now we do not fear. Well, Spencer Knight's in net for Chicago, but I like I said, it's and he's the part that scares me with the total most of all. But like I said, Minnesota's pretty good to score goals at home, regardless of opponent, regardless of netminder. You usually get goals from Minnesota, and I have not much fear in Jesper Wallstedt right now for the Minnesota Wild. He's lost 3 consecutive starts, and here's the numbers during this losing streak of 3 consecutive games. 5.66 goals against average, 817 save percentage for Jesper, not the brick Wallstedt of late for the Minnesota Wild. I mean, that's pretty ugly in the last 3 starts. 5.66 GAA, 817 save percentage. So, like I said,
and we've
lots of
seen
expectations. Be careful putting too much ahead of him too soon.
We saw this, for those of us who at least follow some of the AHL stats, we saw this happen with him last year, where he had a little strong run and then went into the tank. And he last year didn't even end the team end up with Iowa as the starter. He was the backup for most of the later half of the season. So this is something that I know the Wild, and like I said, the talks that keep on ramping up about a trade, I think that's still a bad idea. I don't think you're ready to sell the cow because there's been a couple of bad glasses of milk. But in this case, if we see this pattern of where now all of a sudden he's struggling in the second half of seasons, and this is becomes a trend, the Wild have to kind of maybe ask themselves a couple questions.
No doubt. Maddie, what do you think here, Chicago, Minnesota?
Nothing new to add, but I love the over by factor here. I did jump in on over 6 yesterday. You know, I'm going to ride the over with Minnesota until it starts to fade. You know, they've been scoring, but also giving up goals. So you mentioned it, 4-3 win, 4-3 loss. I mean, they've got a 6-2 loss in the last few games, 5-2 win. Like, it's all over the board So I love it at 6. I love the first period over. And then I agree. I'm a big mom's trip guy. I know that I always play better, or at least, attempt to play better when my mom's in the building. I think the dad's trip's always like a good time. The guys are crushing beers, the dads are hanging out, but no hockey player likes losing when their mom's there. Um, Hockey players in general are a bunch of mama's boys, a lot of spoiled kids where, maybe the dad was at work and the mom was the one driving you to practice at 5 a.m. or, taking you to these tournaments and things like that. So you always want to show up for mom. And I know the trend has leaned Minnesota for a very long time, but give me Chicago money line and Chicago team total over 2.5 split. Not massive bets, but I mean over 2.5 at -110 with Wallstead in his form. I feel like that's a slam dunk. So I'll be a little heavier on the over 2.5, and then just some pizza money on the Blackhawks +170. But overall, I think if Minnesota does win this game, I think we get like a 4-3, 5-3. Maybe overtime 4-3. Maybe 5-3 with an empty net. But I do think we get goals in bunches in this one. So those are my 4 plays: over by Fecta, Chicago team total, and Chicago money line.
Right, good stuff. Yeah, for me, for props, Nazar and Moore and Green, those are usually the players I'm looking at from a Chicago standpoint. For Minnesota, Hartman with Zuccarello and Kaprizov, there is value. Eriksson Ek, of course, just came back recently, worth noting that. Maybe the Foligno brothers want to do something offensively tonight, playing the brother on the other side. Maybe that's the angle. You know what? This is just a stupid one. Not a stupid. It won't be stupid if it wins. I'll tell you that. But here's a kind of a stupid off the grid prop in this game, because he scored in every game against Minnesota. Artem Levshinov for Chicago from the blue line, 12-1. He scored in every game he's played against Minnesota. He doesn't score much, and yet my nice little prop screen that I have in front of me says he's scored in every game against Minnesota in the past when he's played them. Now I don't know; it's not many games. I think it's 1 or 2 games maybe he's played against Minnesota in the past, but he scored in every one. So why not at 12?
He's still in the power, and he's still in the power play. So maybe take him for a power play point. A little piece of that as well.
Yep.
Not terrible.
That's why I call it stupid, because it's a little off the grid. But hey, stats are the stats.
2 keys with the Hawks lineup: Teravainen back in, and on the top line, Frank Nazar centering line with Bedard. So Bedard on the wing tonight.
Right. Oh, very good. Yeah. Something to keep. Spurgeon, that's a good point by Aaron. Spurgeon scored in 33% of games against Chicago. I've noticed that too. Spurgeon gets on the board, goal, assist, whatever the case may be. Makes sense. I mean, for some reason, let me see what the points are, because the goals are 33% against Chicago. The points are 67% versus Chicago for Jared Spurgeon. So there you go. He has had a good track record of getting on the score sheet against the Chicago Blackhawks. So we'll see if that continues tonight. Dallas, St. Louis. We've got Dallas -160, road favorites, 5.5 the total. This is a complete pass for me. I don't want anything in this game. I don't trust St. Louis. They just lost to Dallas. It's revenge for the St. Louis Blues, but they're not a team playing good enough hockey to trust in a revenge spot, really, at this point in time. Dallas did beat them 3-2. They got a late goal from Robertson 4 days ago in Dallas to beat them, but St. Louis has lost 4 in a row. Now, they've really been bad on the road. They've at least been somewhat better at home, but yeah, I don't trust them. I don't want to lay this price with Dallas, so it's an easy pass. Alex, Dallas, St. Louis.
I mean, this might be a team total. I was just trying to pull up what the flat team total would be with Dallas, but that's the only thing I could really kind of come to as far as a pregame bet. Now, it's one kind of watch and wait for. Maybe a draw. We just saw these 2 teams play recently, close game, 3-2. But like I said, not enamored with laying a price even in regulation with Dallas. I'm seeing -140 with that over 3. So no, this is one I'll be waiting for in game. Maybe a live team total with Dallas.
Yeah, maybe you lean Dallas team total over 3.5 because Jordan Binnington's confirmed, and we don't really fully trust him. That being said, it was Jordan Binnington when these teams met just a few days ago, and Dallas only got 3 goals past Binnington and won 3-2. So, like I said, yeah, it's just a game I don't want anything side or total. I do agree with Jonathan. Putting on the Ritz, if he's on the top line there, Justin Ritskovian might be worth a look for the Dallas Stars goal prop-wise tonight. Matty, it's his team, so maybe he's got something on it. What do you think, Dallas, St. Louis?
Yeah, I do have some props I'll mention a little bit later, but I am going to take a shot on Dallas on the three-way, minus 110. I was listening to the ticket, the Star or the Dallas sports radio station this morning. I stream their radio a lot. Obviously, the Stars get a minimal amount of coverage compared to, Cowboys Nation, the Mavs, things like that. But anyway, I guess Ottinger is 7-2, 7-2-0 in his career against the Blues. It looks like he'll be in net again. So I don't. The reason I like the three-way line is I don't think we see overtime in this game. So, could St. Louis win this game? Sure. Dallas has still not proven to me that they're quote unquote back. They got a win against St. Louis in their last game. They had that nice game against Boston where they really looked back to be normal. And then they, had some L's in between. So I still am not fully confident. It's not a big bet, but because I don't think we'll see overtime in this game, I'm not laying minus 160 on Dallas. And the team total over just seemed a little high for me because they're honestly not scoring in bunches. But I think they take care of business and get this win. St. Louis is in bad form, and even though Dallas has not looked great, when you're looking at the schedule, these are games that you've got to win against the bottom teams in the Central, whether you're on the road or at home. And I think Dallas is honestly a better road team than they are at home. So give me Dallas on the three-way, and then I'll mention some props later on.
All right, there you go. Good stuff. And yeah, it is Jake Ottinger for Dallas. And you're right about the road success. 15 road wins versus 14 home wins for the Dallas Stars so far this season. All right, Washington, Seattle. Washington minus 130. Road favorites, 6 the total here in this game. Seattle first period over. That's really and the draw. I actually did sprinkle on the draw here in this Caps and Kraken game. It's one of these classic situations, right? You got an East team versus a West team. Both teams needing points right now. Washington's not assured of anything right now, quite honestly, as far as playoffs are concerned. So they've really got to get their ass in gear. And Seattle, same thing. These are two teams right on the fringe, right on the precipice of the respective wild card races in the East and the West. You look at the standings right now, and you've got certainly both teams needing points here. You've got Washington at 57. They are 4 back of the Islanders for third in the Metro, and they are 6 back of Boston, the second wild card team. So suddenly Washington is very much in need of some points and some wins. And obviously it goes for Seattle, who are at 55 points. They are in a 3-way tie with San Jose and LA for the second wild card at this point in time, 4 back of Anaheim for third in the Pacific. So these are two teams that desperately need points. I like the draw. Neither team's going to care if the other gets a point. So I like this draw as all the draw parameters as far as that's concerned. Washington did go to overtime against Edmonton. Not so much head-to-head. These teams have not really gone to overtime much, but I like the way it works. Now, this has been a strong under series, a full game, that is. We've seen 6-0-1 to the under in the last 7 meetings, or 8 meetings, rather, between these two teams. It is, 6-1-1 to the under in the last 8 meetings. So, like I said, but I like the first period over just because of the Seattle run. It finally came to an end last game, but I don't drop out of a streak until I lose 2, bumper stumper style. So first period over and draw for me in this game. Alex, what do you think? Washington, Seattle.
Yeah, right there with you on that first period over. Grab minus $1.18 at FanDuel with that. Also liking the draw. Best price available over at Bet Online plus 315. But I'm taking a shot with Capitals to win in overtime or shootout. Plus 550 over at FanDuel. Like I said, this has been a pretty bad road trip for them. Like I said, nothing's set in stone for them at all. They gotta win some games and get some points, and you gotta beat, beat bad teams. And Seattle, I think, is still a bad team. Even though they're in their own logjam and they still have a shot at being in that wild card race, I think the Capitals still have a little bit more oomph than the Kraken, so they should get the win. So plus 550 for them to win in overtime or shootout, along with the draw and that first period over, getting some good prices. Like I said, the 11-1 run with Seattle the last 12, and you're getting minus $1.18, minus $1.20 pregame. Hell, you could wait and try and grab plus money with that if you feel a little bit uncomfortable. But I think we should have the pace there early in the contest.
Yeah, as far as props, there are a few that's actually a good prop game. I like Ethan Frank back on the top line. Alexei Protas has scored in back-to-back games for Washington. So we like that. We've mentioned Justin Sordiff as well. There's actually a couple on Seattle I like. Eberle's been good lately. Berkeley Catton on the second line. And I'm going to roll the dice with Chandler Stevenson tonight for Seattle. Former Washington Capital, started his career in Washington. So Chandler Stevenson for Seattle. We're going to ring that chime as far as a goal prop tonight for Seattle. And remember, he was on a red-hot run for a bit, kind of cooled off, but maybe he gets back on the beam here against his old team tonight. Matt, what do you think here? Caps, Kraken.
Yeah, I'm on the first period over in this one, and that's really it. You mentioned Seattle's been on quite a heater, 9-1, still 9-1 in their last 10. They're 10-0 to goal in the first 10 minutes, which obviously leads to first period overs. Washington only 5-5 to first period overs, but they are 7-3 to a goal in the first 10. So I think we see 2 goals in the first here. I'm not really sure if it's 1-1, if it's 2-0, 2-1 even. But yeah, that's really my only play for this one. Don't really have. I would lean Washington. I think they're the better team, but yeah, just not one of my favorite games of the night. But I do like the first period over a lot.
All right, there you go. It's hard not to go back to the well one more time. If it loses for a second straight game tonight with Seattle, we jump off for good, at least for now. But yeah, 10-1 to the first period over for the Seattle Kraken entering tonight. We'll see if that continues. All right, the last game for this Tuesday card, San Jose, Vancouver. San Jose Sharks minus 125 road favorites, 6.5 the total in this game. I might be walking into a shark trap, but I did take San Jose here, minus 125. It's not a big bet, though. This is like Boston last night, where I'm a little leery because I know San Jose has not been favored often, and I know they haven't always been reliable as favorites. They've cashed so many times for me, for many of us in the underdog role, but they haven't always been getting it done when they've been a very rare favorite this season. That being said, they did get it done as a favorite the last time they played, which was a 3-1 home win against the New York Rangers. That being said, I mean, there's just such a gap between these two teams right now, in my opinion, that it's still short enough that I'll lay the $1.25 here with San Jose. I'm just trying to look and see their trade, because remember, they lost at home as a favorite to Seattle when they were laying minus 126 in December. I'm trying to see any other examples of them as a favorite. They were a small favorite at home against Vancouver November 28th, and they did win that game 3-2. So when they were favored, albeit very slightly, against this Vancouver Canucks team earlier this year, they did win that game. So like I said, it's not a balls to the wall wager by any stretch of the imagination, but I just felt there's enough value here to like San Jose minus 125 in this game against a floundering Vancouver team. And by the way, the news today, Thatcher Demko needing more surgery and out for the rest of the season. The poor bastard can't catch a break. It's just unfortunate. It's really sad, actually, because we know what talent he can be in net, and he just has had zero ability to stay healthy and stay on the ice for an extended period of time, and that's just a shame at this point in time. I'm going to look for overs in this game, but I'll wait a little bit. I have a feeling this could start slow. Actually, San Jose has been a good under team lately, so that's why I'm not rushing to bet overs pregame. We'll see if we find something live and better during the game tonight in this one. Alex, what do you think here? Sharks, Canucks?
Yeah, I mean, Vancouver sucks. Give me San Jose in regulation plus 125. This is as simple as it gets. Like you said, we talk about the Sharks aren't favored often. Well, one of the times they were favored was against Vancouver, and they won. So this is a simple game for me. Sharks within 60.
All right, Sharks for Alex. And by the way, they have won both meetings this year, 3-2 in San Jose, 6-3 in Vancouver. So San Jose is 2-0 head-to-head against Vancouver. And obviously, I'm going to go with the Macklin Celebrini, props tonight. Vancouver kid, maybe plays big. I'm going to go for the over 1.5 points, the over 2.5 points, and just a little sprinkle on the 2 and 3 goal, 2 goal and hat trick props too for Celebrini tonight back in Vancouver. He'll want to play well close to home. What do you think? And it's not like Vancouver's been a defensive juggernaut. They've been giving up goals left and right.
You can get plus 188 if you combine Celebrini goal with Sharks money line. I'll probably have that, a little piece of that.
Yeah, not bad at all. Zeev Buyem's out now, by the way, for the Canucks. It's not as if they already suck and bad team, and now they've got more injuries adding up. Now Zeev Buyem is on IR. Tom Willander, who's been the young kid called up, the Swedish prospect, He didn't play due to an illness. He's a game-time decision tonight. So Besser's on IR now after that hit he took from Brian Rust in the game against Pittsburgh. So they're also losing players. It's already a bad team. Now they're losing more players to injuries. So not good for Vancouver. Maddie, what do you think here? Sharks, Canucks.
Yeah, I was on the I was gonna take Sharks money line, Sharks team total over 3.5 plus 115 split, but I'm gonna jump with Alex. I'm gonna take the 3-way. I think the Sharks win this game, and I don't think overtime's involved. And then I like the team total over because Vancouver's the worst team in the league when it's in regards to goals against per game, and things are just getting worse there. So I like those two plays, and then because of that, I wouldn't be shocked if this game's 2-0 after the first. I don't love the total at 6.5, but I'm going to do a same game parlay. It's not my favorite of the day, but I'm going to jump on a 1.5, 5.5. I think it's plus 125. So worth a shot. And I think we're going to need a lot of San Jose goals to get there. But I do think as good as San Jose has played at times this year, and, they've beat some good teams, it's usually a shootout or a football version of a shootout where it's usually a high scoring affair. So I know they won that game December 27th. It was 6-3. So they're not, shutting things down defensively, but they can score at will. So I think if we get 4 or 5 out of San Jose, I think they still give up 1 or 2 to Vancouver, especially Vancouver being at home. So I think the 1.5, 5.5 is a safe play here.
All right, good stuff. Yeah, prop wise, I mentioned it. Celebrini over 1.5, over 2.5 points. Celebrini over 1.5 goals in the hat trick prop. We'll dabble small in all of those here tonight. Graf, I think it's a night for him to get going again because he's still on the top line. Will Smith's worth, Pavel Regenda's worth a look. Toffoli played a half a season in Vancouver like 6 or 7 years ago. So there's a former player angle if you want. So there's a few good Shark props that I'll be looking toward. The only one I would consider for Vancouver, and I would actually consider it, is Teddy Bluger. Teddy Bluger, of all people. Yeah, he's actually scored in back-to-back games for Vancouver entering tonight. And you can get him at plus 650 or so to find the back of the net. All right, great stuff. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button if you haven't done so already. Make sure you check out wizardsportspicks.com. NHL, NBA, college basketball every day. Profitable NBA season, #1 ranked on the website in NFL and NHL at wizardsportspicks.com. Although catching up slow right now is Matt Robinson. I noticed his name appear on the leaderboard there for the last 30 days this morning when I was there. So again, we got everybody doing well pretty much. NHL's been great. NFL's been great. NBA's profitable. Tons of great handicappers. Matt's doing a nice job. Check it out, wizardsportspicks.com. Again, lots going on. Get out a 3-day, 30-day, 7-day, 1-year all access pass in all sports now available as well. Check out the Beyond the Lines video series every day on the YouTube channel. So check it all out, wizardsportspicks.com. And of course, patreon.com/Ice Guys, just $10 per month. A Patreon exclusive live betcast that was great last night. We have another one coming up this week. We'll announce it the day of, but make sure you get on board. If you missed last night's live betcast because you're not a Patreon member, don't let the next opportunity slip away from you. Get on board, just $10 per month. You'll get our goalie charts, totals charts, daily betting cards, sides, totals, player props posted each and every day on the Patreon page. Your membership goes a long way to supporting the show and keeping it going long term. Check it out. Get on board. Got another betcast for Patreon members later this week. $10 per month. Patreon.com/Ice Guys.
Also, a goalie chart update will actually be coming this evening on patreon.com/Ice Guys as well. It's been a while for that. Also, check out the Ice Guys store. It's over at iceguys.myspreadshop.com. We've got hoodies, we've got hats, we've got jackets, t-shirts, mugs, you name it. We've got it with all of our great designs. So check that on out right now over at the Ice Guys store, iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
All right, bargain bin special of the night and best bets coming up right after we hear from our great Ice Guys sponsors.
Wizard Sports Picks, featuring the finest handicappers in the universe. Sharp insights, trusted picks, and relentless results. We strive to help you become consistent winners. This is Wizard Sports Picks.
Walk away,
where the kings and queens shop.
Thanks to all our sponsors, including Royal Cannabis. Check them out, royalcannabisshop.com. 20% off with promo code ICEGUYS. All right, bargain bin special of the night. 10 games on this Tuesday to choose from. Alex, we'll start with you. Bargain bin special of the night.
I've got a pair of them, and we're going to head up the street to Grand Casino Arena. We got the Blackhawks taking on the Minnesota Wild, and it's going to involve line mates. You've got Frank Nazar and Connor Bedard playing with each other. Frank Nazar is going to be centering that line. Bedard on the wing. Give me Frank Nazar anytime goal, plus 360. I got that over at FanDuel. But also give me Connor Bedard to get 2 assists in the game, plus 650 available over at DraftKings. So that's Nazar goal, plus 360. Bedard, 2 assists, plus 650. Those are my 2 bargain bin specials for tonight.
All right, great stuff from Alex there. Matt Robinson, bargain bin special of the night.
I've also got 2 given the 10-game card. One of them I hit with him 7 days ago exactly. He's back on the top line with Ranson and Johnston. Give me Justin Ritzkovian anytime goal, plus 425. Again, it worked out last time. It was sort of a fluky goal, but it doesn't matter how. I just need it to be his goal. So that'll be bargain bin number 1 in tonight's game with Stars and St. Louis. And then bargain bin number 2, you mentioned him. His dad is involved with the Toronto Maple Leafs. He hasn't been bargain bin for a while, but he is dropped to that third line, but he's still playing PP1. And his dad is involved with the Toronto Maple Leafs. So give me Josh Doan anytime goal, plus 320. He hasn't scored in a handful of games. I don't think he has a goal since he signed his big contract. So I know he wants to get the monkey off his back and get back into the goal column. Guys hate it when they sign a big ticket and then have a couple bad games, because then people instantly are like, oh, was this a good idea? Even though it's 3 games of an 82-game season. That's just how hockey fans are. But I expect Josh Doan to get back in the goal column, and why not tonight? Josh Doan, plus 320 anytime goal, and Justin Ritzkovian for the Dallas Stars, plus 425 anytime goal. Those will be my bargains tonight.
And I like both of those. I really do. Ritzkovian will be on the card. Doan's on the card. And one of my bargain bin specials of the night is also from that Buffalo and Toronto game. Nick Robertson for the Toronto Maple Leafs. You can't ignore how well he has done against the Buffalo Sabres, and in particular, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. So Nick Robertson, plus 480 for the Toronto Maple Leafs for my first bargain bin special of the night. My second bargain bin special of the night. This is just, I know this player very well. We're obviously talking about a team that got, beaten at home Saturday. The coach calls them out, Scott Arniel. I always trust the captain of this team in spots like this. In a game where you are not good enough, coach calls you out, and this is a captain I usually trust and can rely on to step up in games like this. Give me Adam Lowry for the Winnipeg Jets, plus 700. The best price out there for him to find the back of the net for the Jets tonight. So Adam Lowry, Winnipeg, plus 700. Nick Robertson, Toronto, plus 480 for my 2 bargain bin specials for this Tuesday night. All right, best bets to wrap up the show. Alex, what do you like for best bet?
It's one of the hottest trends in hockey. We got to continue to roll with it. It's Minnesota Wild over the total. Give me the over with the Hawks and Wild and get -6 still at $1.15. Best price available. That's my best bet for tonight.
All right, there you go. It is the best total streak going with any one team for sure. Chicago, Minnesota over 6 for Alex with best bet. Matty Rob, best bet.
Yeah, I love that bet. I was between 2 bets, but it's not one where I only like one bet. So I will now go with by default to the other bet. So my best bet tonight is going to be the over 6 in that Boston-Nashville game. Both teams have trended to the overs. Boston scores in bunches at home. Nashville gives up a lot of goals, but they have been scoring some goals as well. So guess we need 7 to hit, 6 to push. But Boston, Nashville over 6. That'll be my best bet for tonight's card.
Good stuff there with the Nashville-Boston over. My best bet for this Tuesday NHL slate, I'm going to go to that Sabres-Leafs. Yeah, over 6.5, -115. So we're each on an over for a best bet. I actually did really think long and hard about Winnipeg because I do like Winnipeg in this spot. I don't fully trust them enough to make it best bet, material, even though I really do like the Jets tonight. So I will go with Sabres Leafs. Buffalo, Toronto over 6.5. Both meetings went over the total earlier this season. Buffalo's 4+ goals in 8 of the last 10. Toronto talking about a fast start. Wouldn't shock me if they get on the board early, and that'll open up the game even more. So the one thing Buffalo's been doing is parking the bus with a lead. If they're trailing, it's probably going to open up the game even more. So Buffalo, Toronto, over 6.5, minus 115 for my best bet here for this Tuesday. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button. Great show as always. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday, Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. For Alex B. Smith and Matt Robinson, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Tuesday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we'll see you tomorrow on Wednesday, 2 p.m. Eastern, for another edition of the Ice Guys.